June 28th, 4 hex bolts. 4. That's all we had to replace to put on the brand new Hydrovane replacement. Only thing that's original here, so the drive unit, the new cover with LED light is new, as is the shaft and the rudder. The vane itself is from the old one. So these 4 bolts is what needed to be replaced. About 32 hours worth of work. So what sounds super easy. Basically these teak pads were weathered. I still need to do a little bit of cosmetics here, but these have been sanded, epoxied, sanded, primed, and painted. They need to be painted again. I was in a hurry, so I did kind of a crap job on it. These hex bolts that went through did not have proper backing nuts. They just had small fender washers on the inside of the hull, which was kind of nuts. So here's where the propane locker is. There's actually like a basin in there that these 2 little squatty propane tanks sit in. Had to pull that tray out, so we had to pull some screws, and it was kind of caulked in. And while I was in there, also the propane solenoid had rust on it. The old one just had a lot of corrosion on the outside. It worked fine, but decided to replace that. So the challenge here is, in order to get back here to work, you have to climb in this small lazarette and lean in here, and you can get to these bottom hex bolts, but you can't get to the top, so you have to pull the propane locker apart. A lot of back and forth to the hardware to try and get the right length, right size hex bolts with backers and things like that to get epoxy paint, electrical pieces. My electrical job, I'll probably will wind up redoing this. So I've actually got heat shrink, a couple of layers of that plus some electrical tape, and I use a dielectric, the silicone grease to help kind of insulate and keep water out of the connection. So I did that for the new stern light, which goes here. So I'm overall I'm pretty happy with the install. I may actually at some point put in better upgraded backing bolts in the bottom. I'm gonna use G10, which is like this epoxy fiberboard. It's really super strong. Hydrovane sells, they'll sell like aluminum backing plates, but I'm not a big fan of all the dissimilar metals between aluminum and the stainless steel bolts. And actually on this one right here, and what prompted me to replace the braces and everything and dig into this was one of those bolt heads had sheared off. So this is, the old one was circa 2006. And you might ask, well, why did I get a new one? Why didn't I just service the old one? And the answer is I absolutely could have done that. A couple things. One, this is a larger rudder, so there's more control authority. That was important to me, just to have better balance. Look at these, look at the school of fish coming through. So that was important. Also, this shaft is quite a bit stronger than the original ones. This is made from like a super duplex stainless, so some kind of alloy which is considerably stronger than standard 3/16, which is really a requirement with this largest rudder. And then the other piece is there's been some minor improvements here with the drive unit. I think it's just supposed to be better balanced and maybe a little bit better control. Maybe I'm just buying into the marketing hype at that point to buy a new one, but found a buyer, found a good home for the old one. But you know, I gotta do a special shout out here to Andy from Sailing Soleil, because without his help I'd still be screwing around on this. Definitely parts of this were 3-person jobs at times managed by 2, and I was able to do the finished work myself pretty easily, just with time. So pretty stoked, can't wait to try it out, and that's what we're going to be doing on this adventure. All right, Still in LA Harbor, winds are like a little under 5 knots true, which is a little bit of a bummer for us because I'm all set up, I'm ready to go. The main is up. And I'm gonna have to tone down the radio. It's at least keep it on 16. It's non-stop chatter, so my guess is it's gonna be fairly busy at the anchorage when we get to White Cove. Our plan for today, at least, is we're gonna go to White Cove today, and most likely we're gonna anchor out. We'll meet up with Sailing Vessel Aeronautical and Sailing Vessel Blue Away. So Beneteau 42 center cockpit and a Catalina Morgan 440 are the other boats we'll be rolling with. Plan is early tomorrow we're all gonna head down to San Clemente Island and then anchor down there. And it might be a little bit bumpy out. So that's my only concern. Depending on where you look in the sector with the NOAA, NDVC marine forecast, could be anywhere between, you know, up to 25 knots and like 6 to 8 foot waves with like a 8-second period apart. So that'd be that kind of suck. I think it'd suck a lot worse coming back than it would be on the way down there. My expectations is we'll have light winds heading down and it'll build in the afternoon, and then we'll have probably perfect sailing in the afternoon. What do I know? But that's my guess. But the Hydrovane's on and it's ready to go. All I really need to do is pull a couple of pins and lock the rudder. I've never used this thing before, so it's probably going to be a bit of a cluster, and it's going to take some experience to get it dialed in. Academically, I kind of know what's going on, but I can guarantee it's not going to appear like I know what I'm doing, no matter how hard I pretend the first time I try this out. This is my dock neighbor. Bali cat space. Just heading out of Angel's Gate. We've got a couple of cargo ships inbound. Looks like we're gonna be well past this. I can zoom out here a little on AIS. At this point, I don't have much of a visual on anything else of concern. So we're good. We're just kind of waiting for a little bit more wind so we can do some proper sailing. Actually, we may have it now. Seeing true of about 10. So let me figure out what angle I'm going to sail at here and see if we can put the Genoa out. So we'll put the Genoa out to port, and we may put the staysail up as well and go with full canvas. At least we'll get the Genoa out. We need to do that. Look, come on, no brains. You look at that. I'm not touching the damn thing here. Everything's off. All right, this is the inaugural test. I should have filmed this, but there wasn't too much to do. Basically, you look at the Hydrovane. You tie lines on everything. So there's a pin holding the rudder in. There's a pin right here. So this is like an emergency tiller handle, but this keeps the inner shaft from moving. And then if you look up here, we've got another pin that goes in here that keeps the vane from moving. And then in the left hand side is, this is the depowered, this is for light wind. And I put her on 160 something, 165. And I'm looking at about 160. We need to go 186 and come up a little bit. We're our apparent wind's 57, 58 degrees, so we come up a little bit. Now we only have 9.5 knots of wind. We're doing 4.7 knots, which is 4.8 knots, which is a okay speed. I think a little bit more wind might be a little bit ideal, because you see all the, there's a lot of stuff here that's causing windage with all this COTB, or as we like to call it, crap off the back. So this is like a little remote adjuster. It's not super remote. I don't know which way is which. I think if I pull this in towards me, you can see this bending over a little bit. And that should be giving us a little steerage up. Maybe. Now let's take a look and see what we got. 167. So that little adjustment actually did take us up a few degrees. Alright, I know I'm breaking all the rules here. Glass bottles with alcohol while underway, but this is a moment to celebrate. Cheers, sailors. So, we got the Hydrovane on and it's working great so far. Pretty excited about that, but what I'm excited about is this is like probably the closest the boat's ever been ready since I've had it to, say, cross an ocean or go somewhere properly away from the coast. I certainly have aspirations and plans to do that, not too far out. Having new standing rigging gives me a lot of confidence in the rigging. The new Hydrovane, everything properly installed there and functioning great, gives me a lot of confidence that I can sail. This Hydrovane will double as a emergency rudder, so I'm super glad to have that. It's nice because I'll be able to sail, and even if I don't have any electricity or battery power, this thing will still work as long as we've got wind. So that's pretty cool. I've got new sails on order, and I'm excited about that. So we'll be good there. Maybe some minor running rigging upgrades after that. I do plan to upgrade solar, so I'm finding, you know, especially if I don't need to run Starlink all the time and stuff like that, but if I'm running Starlink and charging my electronics and stuff, you can burn 50% of my battery capacity in a day, like 300 amp hours. It's not out of the question, and I've got 600 total. Some plumbing upgrades. I may still do some stuff with the holding tank and the head at some point. And really there's not much after that. I mean, I feel like I've gone through most of the boat. Things that are remaining are going to be mostly cosmetics and a lot of smaller projects, but all that stuff is just takes time, and it's something that I can chip away at. But if I had to leave for Hawaii like today, I could fill up the tanks, throw a bunch of food on, and go. So that's pretty goddamn exciting to me. All right, it's getting a little lonely here. I wish one of my friends would give me a shout on the radio or something. Just super quiet.
Keeldragger, do you copy?
Speak of the devil. Sailing vessel blew away. This is Keeldragger. I've got a great copy on you, over.
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Yeah, you're super clear. I'm on the opposite end of the channel, so I'm pretty happy with the performance of both our radios at this point, over.
Yeah, it's loud and clear. I'm going to switch mine from high power to low power. I have two settings. I want to see if you can hear me. The next transmission will be low setting.
Roger that.
Copy, do you copy? Do you copy on low power setting?
Yeah, Bill, I've got a copy on you. It's a little scratchy, but I can certainly hear you well, over.
Okay, now I'm back on high power setting.
Yeah, it makes a difference. Yeah, a little bit of fuzz, but it was, I'll say, definitely clear enough on low power, over. All right, so we are luffing a little bit here in 6 knots of true, and we're starting to fall off the wind a little bit. And it looks like maybe we're doing a little bit of a crazy Ivan, so not sure what's going on at this point. Apparent wind angle is what's going on is we took a big shift. So the wind shifted 40 degrees. So I'm seeing like we were like 175 degrees course over ground. Now we're doing 122. And you know, our waypoint's at 188. So the wind took a massive shift and it's pretty light. So the boat, the Hydrovane did exactly as expected, which is going to keep us kind of pointed with the same angle to the wind, with apparent wind. And when I heard the wind, when I heard the sail luffing, at first I thought, hey, is the Hydrovane something not dialed in here? And it actually did exactly what it's supposed to do, which is we're sailing a wind angle, we're not sailing course over ground with the Hydrovane. And unfortunately, it puts us in the position of trying to figure out what we're going to do next, because we are way off course at this point. I may need to fire up the engine and start motoring. I don't want to tack just because we're only doing like 4 knots, and at this point we're going to wind up getting in at 4 o'clock in the morning with this light wind. So we're looking at the shipping lanes. We've got 2 cargo ships coming. There's a container ship over the port and 1 dead ahead. So one trick that I do, just to like oversimplify this, is when I've got a couple of ships like this in line, and I'm not sure if I can shoot in between them, and I'm looking at their beam, I just kind of point myself right at the tail boat, right at the tail ship, the second one, and I point right towards the stern. And then as he keeps coming across, I keep pointing to his stern. So I'm confident that I'm going to wind up passing behind them as I start to get closer. So the trick at some point is to not run into them, but just to pass safely astern from them. And that's what we're doing. We don't have any northbound ships of concern yet, but we do have these 2 cargo ships that we have to watch out for.
Hey, keeldragger, how you doing?
Doing well. I've got a clear copy on you. I chatted with Bill a little bit earlier on sailing vessel Blue Away. He might be listening in. He's over there, so if you're pulling into White's, give him a shout. He said there's like 17 boats already at anchor there, in addition to the moorings. Over. Ubiquity is about 3 miles out, and RCPA is about a little over a mile right now. There's a sailboat ahead of us, in between us and YM Ubiquity, over to port a little bit. I'm trying to figure out if these guys are going to try and cut in front of this container ship or not. So there's the YM Ubiquity, the Yang Ming. So Yang Ming, Ubiquity, and then there's a sailboat over here to port. It looks like these guys are getting in a little bit close. They're not too far away from us, so my guess is they're gonna try and come in behind them. All right, the Jenny's out. There's the Yang Ming in front of us. We'll cross their stern a little bit. We've got the Jenny out, and full main, no staysail yet. I'm still seeing about 7 knots of true, which is not enough to push us as fast as we really want to go, because we want to get I'm hearing that the anchorage at White Cove is already pretty crowded. There's already like 20 boats or so at anchor, so we're probably going to wind up in deep water. We want to get there with plenty of daylight to scout around and stuff like that. I was wondering at the vane from the Hydrovane how spoiled it was going to get from the airflow with the solar panels and the bimini and all that. Actually, looking aft, you can see it's got a fair amount of clearance vertically here, which is good. And it looks like I don't know, we need 7 knots probably to sail and hold a good course of wind. True. It seems to do okay with that. We're still dialing and fine-tuning and all that. I think getting the sails trimmed right, but not sure how fast we're going right now, but we're doing well. We're moving along, probably about 4 knots, maybe a hair faster. Once you get to about 10 or 11 knots true wind speed, the Hydrovane holds course a lot better. So it's messing around with light winds. They were also fluky when they were light, so they were taking big shifts, so we're kind of doing this weird S-curve and everything. Right now we're kind of dialed right in on the money. We're about 3.5 miles out from White Cove, and we're doing around 5.5 knots or so. Super smooth. No chatter on the radio at the moment. That'll change soon. It's really busy out today on the radio. A couple miles out. I don't know why I started the engine. We don't need to put the sails down yet. A little early. The Hydrovane though, look at this thing. We're just in neutral, but look at this. There's trucking here, right towards White Cove. 5.9, 5.6, whatever. We're kind of been hovering in the mid to upper 5s. And this Hydrovane's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Like, I couldn't be any happier. When the wind is 10 knots plus, I couldn't be any happier. The wind was super fluky, so I can't even really blame that on the Hydrovane with less wind. But I can see where the light winds, you're going to get a lot of directional, you know, changes and shifts, and you'll get knocked once in a while, and you know, boat will just kind of hunt to find the wind. This is too good. We're in the 6s, and look at this. Charging right along. About 2 miles from White Cove. I'm gonna start thinking about rolling up the Genoa here pretty soon. Just a couple seconds. Kind of enjoying the sailing. So I'm like, wind's just building a little bit. It's like perfect sailing. It's super just beautiful out. And then I'm gonna go here and I'm looking at all these boats, and it's gonna be crowded. So we're likely gonna wind up anchoring deep, but that's okay. Brother, I was dropping the anchor in 100 feet. I didn't drift too far. A couple boats behind me. Got my anchor watch. But the hell is that? 200 feet? That does not match up with the chart. That says 128 feet there. 125. 105. So the chart's kind of all over the place too, but I really think there's something going on right now that my depth is not right. But I've got an anchor alarm. I'm going to watch these boats behind me, and we'll chill here for a little bit. We might get up and move and try and find some confirmed shallow water, because that's deep. Turned off the instruments, turned them back on, and now it says I'm in 102 feet. I trust that we're in 100 feet, because that lines up with the charts plus my prior experience here. So I think we're okay. 100 feet, we're fine. The anchor bit, so as far as that goes, and we've got our anchor alarm. We'll just keep a little bit of an anchor watch. All right, we're snubbed in. Might get a little bit more crowded here. We are kind of in front of this power boat, sailboat here, but anchor watch so far successful. Snubbed in. I don't appear to be dragging or anything, so I can go ahead and chill out a little bit.